Gotcha.
Hey, how's it going everybody? It's the Game Economist here, and today I'm taking a look at the Dark Claymore. So, Dark Claymore is one of the few infusible greatswords. You've got Flamberge, which is very similar to Dark Claymore, except it doesn't deal as much damage. You've got the Drakeblood Sword, which is terrible. So, you know, that's for a totally different video, I'm sure, but I can tell you right now, that's not going to be good. You've got the Bastard Sword, but the Bastard Sword has a very different moveset, and in my opinion, it has an inferior moveset, which is important. So, Dark Claymore is your best option for a dark build. I guess you could argue maybe like the Twin Princess Greatsword to a degree, but yeah, I'm going to say best build for Dark Claymore, right? And let's go ahead and compare greatswords a little bit. You've got the Gale's Greatsword is going to outrange the Dark Claymore. It also has the true combo on the weapon art, which is nice. I think that the Gale's Greatsword is probably going to do a little better against like a Ponic Knight Curse Sword, whereas the Dark Claymore is going to have an easier time against kind of like a Black Knight Shield build, maybe like a Dark Lothdrake Black Knight Shield combo, right? And that's because of your chip damage, and your stance actually will guard break, right? With Gale's, you won't necessarily guard break on the weapon art. Okay, and then you have, so Gale's and Dark Claymore, they're pretty close, in my opinion. Ironically, if Dark Claymore had to fight a Gale's Greatsword, I think the Gale's would have an advantage, just because of the range, and you're both probably going to be two-handing, so Black Knight Shields aren't in play at all. Then you have the Onyx Blade. I think the Onyx Blade probably loses to the Dark Claymore. I'm not saying Onyx Blade is bad. It's actually, I think it's my favorite weapon in the game at this point. I'm pretty sure it is. Here's the problem with Onyx Blade. You're spending an extra 20 points on Intelligence and Faith to take them both to 40, right? So the Dark Claymore has kind of a more efficient build by like 20 whole points. That's a lot. But on the other hand, Onyx Blade, if you're taking it to 40-40, you're going to have access to Fire Surge and Black Flame, which those are very, very strong pyromancy moves. You also have Chaos Bed Vestige, not as strong, but it's still pretty good. It's pretty deadly. So it's almost like a kind of like Drakeblood Sword. It's like a totally different beast. You're going to have a bit of a different play style if you're doing Onyx Blade, but it is technically a great sword, so we're going to count it. Onyx Blade has the weapon art R1 true combo, but that's not like crazy damage. I think that gets up to 800. Well, yeah, that's actually pretty good then. Yeah, so it's got the R1 weapon art true combo, and then Fire Surge, of course, is one of the most reactive spells in the game, but in order to take advantage of Fire Surge, you have to be bringing those Pyromancy rings. So you're giving up your good rings in order to bring Fire Surge and Black Flame and Chaos Bed Vestige with your Onyx Blade. So I think, you know, it's just hard to say because the skills involved with Onyx Blade are so different from Dark Claymore, and I feel like I can really say that because I've used both of them at this point. I've done a Pyro build. I've also done a regular Poise build on the Onyx Blade, and I can tell you, if you're going to compare that, Claymore all the way. Claymore's just better. But if you're talking about a Pyromancy build on the Onyx Blade versus a Dark Claymore, they're very different beasts. So the Onyx Blade build has a bit more of a reactive playstyle because Fire Surge kind of carries it in terms of reactive speed. Okay, so Onyx Blade, Gale's, what else do we got? We got maybe the Twin Prince's Greatsword, and that's kind of an interesting weapon because you're going to get that weapon art, the projectile weapon art. So it's kind of cool not having to. Here's the deal. This is, you know, I've played a little bit with the Twin Princess Greatsword. I haven't done a video on it, obviously. You know, I've never been too impressed with it. I like the weapon art, but if you've practiced fighting against the Twin Princess sword, which not everybody uses it, so you don't get enough practice, but if you practice fighting against it, that weapon art doesn't trick you very often. I was lucky in the arena. I was lucky to run into this guy who used the Holy Sword, the one that has the similar weapon art, but it comes out faster. Yeah, he was using the Holy Sword, and I was using a mage build, and he and I practiced against each other a whole bunch. And I got really good at detecting the beam and dodging it. And then you've got the greatsword version, which is actually, the projectile comes out even slower. So for me, I've never really felt that pressured by the projectile. And in fact, if you roll behind it, is pretty much an automatic backstab if you can roll behind it at the right time. So maybe I just haven't fought anybody who's really skilled with it because it's kind of a rare weapon. I'll have to take a look at it later and I'll give you a better opinion of it. But I've heard it's a good greatsword. I'm just not sure. It's got that stomp R2 is what it looks like, the one with the little flames come out. That's kind of neat. And I'm pretty sure that guard breaks as well, but it's slower than the stance that you get from Dark Claymore. So honestly, as of right now, I think that the Dark Claymore is a better option than the Twin Princess Greatsword. I think it's very possible that the Dark Claymore is better than the Onyx Blade, but again, they're just very different in terms of their playstyle. And then Gale's is probably the closest to the Dark Claymore. You also have the Black Knight Sword. But the thing is, Black Knight Sword, I've never thought that was a great weapon. It's kind of like the Ring Knight Straight Sword. Everybody says that it's kind of like high tier. Never believe that. With the Black Knight Sword, you've got the Perseverance weapon art, which is a huge tell. As soon as they activate it, you know you're just going to roll away. Since it's a great sword, you get plenty of time to react to it, so they can't just activate Perseverance and pressure you really well. It's just not going to happen. So the only option they have is to trick you into trading with the Perseverance weapon art. But think about it. They got to activate it, and then they got to use their R1. You get plenty of time to respond to that. So yeah, on top of all that, it deals pure physical. So I'm not a big fan of the Black Knight Sword. I don't think it ranks with those other ones. It's going to be Dark Claymore, Gale's, probably Onyx Blade, and maybe the Twin Princess Greatsword. It's going to be those 4 greatswords come into competition with each other, and the closest is probably Dark Claymore and the Gale's. And yeah, so that's about it for comparing it on the greatswords. I think it's quite possible that this could be the best greatsword for duels. You know, you heard me talking about it there, reasoning about it. It did just fine in Invasions. It did very well in PvE. And yeah, take a look at the footage and tell me how you feel about it, guys. Thank you for watching.
Help me! Oh, had enough, eh?
You're headed for the brink, aren't you? Well, you won't drag me down. En garde, you crusty ash bastard!
Game over!
I know. Won't you join me for dinner? I make a fine Esther soup. I've got some stewing right now.
All right, we'll call it a draw.
Help me! Thank you!
sirrah, how deliciously observed.